All right, in this video, we will be learning about the align content CSS property. But before starting to code, one thing you have to remember is that the align content CSS property will only applicable when we have flex wrap set to wrap and we have multiple rows or multiple columns inside of our flex container. Okay, so let's see how our container looks currently right now. We have multiple rows currently right now. Okay, so we can use the align content CSS property. So the align content CSS property sets the distribution of the space between and around content items along a flexbox's cross axis or a grid or block level elements block axis. Okay, so it is along the flexbox's cross axis. So you might be thinking like, hey, if we want to move around or align the items along the cross axis, we have the align item CSS property, right? And that works whether or not we have multiple rows or multiple columns. But here, the align content CSS property will only work when we have multiple rows or multiple columns. Okay. So basically what we will be controlling this space, like the space between the two rows currently right now and the space between above and below. Okay, so right now what we can do align content. Okay, and we have many of the things, so we can do flex start. Okay, hit save. Now as you can see, there is no space between the rows and our first row is at the top edge and the second row is just below that. Okay, and all of the space, like the remaining space, is at the bottom. Then we can do flex end as well, and you might have guessed what will happen. Everything will be at the bottom. Okay, here is our first row, then the second row, and everything is at the bottom edge, and all of the space which we had is now on top. Then we can do something like space between. And yeah, there are multiple things as well. So if we do space between, as you can see, all of the space is now between the rows. Then we can do space evenly. Okay, it is just like the justify content when we have learned about that. Okay, now the space is evenly distributed among the rows. Then we can do something like space around. Okay, and now the space is around each of the rows. So on the top we have some space of the first row, and then on the bottom of the first row we have some space. The same thing is applicable for the second row as well. We have some space on the top and we have some space on the bottom. Okay, and we can do something like center as well. If we do center, then as you can see, all of the elements are at the center, and all of the space which we had previously on the cross axis is now distributed here on the top and at the bottom. Okay, so now this is good. Now what will happen if we just change the flex direction to column? If I set the flex direction to column, then this will happen. So if I, for example, currently right now we have the main axis which is going from top to bottom, and we have the cross axis which is going from left to right. Okay, now if I just want to move everything at the left edge, then what I want to do? Can you think about something? So we have to set the align content to flex start. Okay, if we do that, then this will happen. Everything is at the left edge. Once again, we can do something like flex end. Then everything will be at the right edge. Okay, and then we can do something like center. Then everything will be at the center. Okay, then we can do space between. Then all of the space is between the two columns which we have currently right now. Then we can do something like space around. Save. Now we have on the left side of the column some space, and the right side of the first column we have some space. Once again, for the second column, we have some space on the left side and we have some space on the right side. Okay. All right. Then we can do something like space evenly as well. Now, all of the space will be evenly distributed among the columns. So here we have some space. In between the two columns, we have some space. And after the second column, we have some space which are equal. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is that if I just turn off the flex wrap, and this will happen. So everything is gone currently right now. The align content CSS property only works when we have flex wrap on, and also we have multi-column or multi-row layouts. If we do not have the flex wrap on and we do not have multi-column or multi-row layouts, then the align content will not work. Okay, so we have to have the flex wrap set to wrap, and we have to have multi-column or multi-row layout. Okay, all right, so this is the align content CSS property.